In the winter of 1939, while the world stared west toward a coming catastrophe, another war began in silence. No declaration, no warning. Only the sound of artillery tearing through snow-covered forests. This is the story of the Winter War. A war most of the world forgot, but one that reshaped power, pride, and survival in the 20th century. Finland was small, 4 million people, a young nation barely 2 decades independent. To the east stood the Soviet Union, a superpower with millions of soldiers, thousands of tanks, and absolute confidence in victory. On November 30th, 1939, Soviet forces crossed the Finnish border. The justification was simple: security. The reality was conquest. Helsinki burned under air raids, villages vanished beneath shell fire, and the world assumed Finland would fall within weeks. On paper, it should have. The Red Army outnumbered Finland more than 10 to 1. They had armor, aircraft, artillery. Finland had rifles, skis, and forests. But wars are not won on paper. They are won in mud, blood, and in this case, snow. Winter came early that year. Temperatures dropped to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Metal cracked. Engines froze. Flesh turned brittle. For Soviet soldiers, the cold was an enemy. For the Finns, it was an ally. They dressed in white camouflage and vanished into the trees. They moved on skis, faster than tanks could turn. They struck without warning and disappeared again. The forest became a weapon. Soviet columns advanced along narrow roads, tightly packed, dependent on supply lines. Finnish units sliced those columns apart, trapping them in isolated pockets called motis. Surrounded by darkness, snow, and silence, numbers meant nothing. A tank cannot see what it cannot find, and an army cannot fight what it cannot understand. One man came to embody that fear. Simo Häyhä, a farmer, a hunter, a ghost. Armed with a simple rifle and iron sights, Häyhä hid in snow banks for hours without moving. He wore no scope to avoid reflection. He packed snow into his mouth so his breath would not betray him. By the end of the war, he had over 500 confirmed kills. The deadliest sniper in recorded history. When asked how he did it, he said only this: "I did my duty." The Red Army was unprepared, not for Finland, but for reality. Its officers were inexperienced, its tactics rigid, its leadership crippled by Stalin's purges. Orders came from far away, written by men who had never felt 40 degrees below zero. And so the impossible happened. Finland did not collapse. It held. For 105 days, the Soviet advance stalled. Losses mounted, morale fractured, but survival came at a cost. In March 1940, peace was signed. Finland remained independent, but lost vast territories. Hundreds of thousands were displaced. Cities, homes, and history were surrendered. The Soviet Union declared victory. Yet the world saw something else. The Red Army, supposedly unstoppable, had been humiliated by a nation 1/10 its size. That lesson did not go unnoticed. In Berlin, German generals studied the reports carefully. They saw weakness. They saw incompetence. They saw opportunity. Less than 2 years later, that miscalculation would help ignite the largest invasion in human history. The Winter War did not end with the snow melting. Its consequences echoed across Europe. For Finland, the lesson was survival through realism. No illusions, no grand ambitions, only independence at any cost. For the modern world, the lesson still stands. Technology changes, weapons evolve, empires rise and fall. But geography endures, preparation matters, and morale can outweigh machines. Small nations are not powerless, and giants are not invincible. The Winter War is forgotten because it does not fit a clean narrative. It was not a total victory. It was not a total defeat. It was something rarer. It was proof that resistance can rewrite expectations, that courage can slow empires, and that sometimes the greatest victory is simply refusing to disappear. The snow eventually covered the tracks. The forests grew quiet again. But history remembers, and the winter still whispers their names.